Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. Coming up, we meet a 16-year-old Grimsby lad who's aiming for the Karate World Championships. And we head to Hull for the weekly reflections. And my guest tonight is Adam Conteray from Samaritan's Purse UK to talk about Operation Christmas Child. Welcome to Estuary News. I'm Hugh Riches. Now it's time for the news headlines.
Scunthorpe's steel industry is expected to be hit by job losses. It's thought Tata Steel will announce 1,200 UK job cuts on Tuesday, with the firm significantly reducing the workforce at its Scunthorpe plant, which employs 4,000 people and is one of the UK's biggest. The company says imported steel has been a contributive factor. An iconic Grimsby building is up for sale. Until its closure in April, the Castle Press was home to the Albert Gate print dynasty for many years. Before that, it was home to the Army, opening in 1891 for the 1st Lincolnshire Volunteer Artillery. The building is being auctioned this Thursday and could have many uses for its new owner.
I think it's quite interesting to look back at what the building's been used for most recently, and that was as a printing works. It was called Castle Press and it was part of the Wyndham Gate group. It's a fantastic site. It's on one of the main arterial roads as you come into the town centre, so it does have potential for redevelopment, for retail or leisure purposes, or somebody could continue to use it as a factory and warehousing. I'd like to think we'll get sufficient interest in the room for the property to be sold. The guide price is quite a big price reduction. We'd previously been offering the property for sale at $550,000, so it's a great opportunity for somebody to come in and buy it.
Issues around transgender identity and the transitioning process have been at the heart of a workshop delivered in Hull. Felix Fenlon and Helen Laws are a married transgender couple who are delivering sessions with the aim of raising awareness and supporting those who are facing the stigma.
A lot of the trans people we know wouldn't do what we do. But then we see this as an opportunity of creating that understanding.
And openness.
And openness, yeah. You know, I mean, I think, yeah, we can always do with, another few individuals that are more open about, like transitions, the difficulties going through transition.
A man in Hull was robbed of his money and the rings from his fingers after taking a shortcut home. The incident happened at around 4:30 p.m. on the 8th of October as the man left Boofery Road and entered a snicket to the side of the Sirius Academy. Police are now appealing for information. Well, that is all we have time for. If you do have any stories, you can contact us on 01472 315561. On internet, you can contact us via Facebook or Twitter at Estuary TV. Until next time, goodbye.
With the Olympics in Rio in 2016 and then in Japan in 2020, there are many hopeful contestants out there who hope to be an Olympian for their country. In Grimsby, one youngster is training hard as he sets his sights on gold, but to get there he needs a little help. We sent Dan Tomlinson to meet him.
16-year-old Luke Easton of Grimsby has an ambition. An ambition to travel to Indonesia this November to compete in the World Karate Championship.
The top people in the world from each country get to go to Indonesia for the World Championships, so it's the best people in the world, really.
With 10 years of training, Luke came 8th in the EKF European Karate Championship this past February in Switzerland, something that has driven him to this goal. But his family are unable to provide the funds for Luke's journey. However, his mother Tracy has a plan.
The whole trip costs around £2,000, give or take, just a little bit. Luke has been sort of quite a lot of competitions, and it's just difficult to keep paying and going every sort of weekend to a competition. Well, we've done a coffee morning so far, and it was absolutely wonderful. We had a few people that decided to sponsor Luke through that, and we got £597.14, so that's really, really great.
But there is still a way to go in order to reach the magic £2,000 number.
It's a very expensive trip just to get there in itself. There's obviously lots of training that you got to do, lots of travelling around the country, and you need to obviously get a lot of experience before the competition. So it's actually to go there and for everything else in between.
But he does want to give something back. If somebody does want to sponsor him, he's quite keen to help other people and promote good health and good training, really.
With 3 weeks remaining, time is running low. Can Luke achieve his dream of travelling to Indonesia to kick his way to success? Maybe you can help.
You're watching Estuary News. Still to come, it's time for another weekly Reflections, and we'll have all the latest sports news and results. Now, it's coming up to that time of year when people across the country are busy producing gifts in readiness for Christmas. It's that soon. For some, that involves a shoebox wrapped in festive paper and filled with such things as a toothbrush or a woolen hat, and it's all in aid of Operation Christmas Child. Joining me is Adam Cantoray from Samaritan's Purse UK, who are behind the whole operation. Adam, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
First of all, what is Operation Christmas Child?
Well, Operation Christmas Child is a Christmas present from one child to another. A child from the UK, for example, going to a child in a country where they would not normally get a Christmas present because of poverty.
Right.
Yes, so I can go through the basics of it.
Well, first of all, it's a shoebox. That's
it's
the
a
basis
shoebox.
of it.
That's the basis.
So that's a wonderful Christmas present
Yes.
size thing, and presumably also it's easy to transport.
It is. Logistically, it's a very handy size. You can get most of the items in there that we recommend for the kids.
And we would hope that as many people as possible would just take an old shoebox and fill it with little gifts that would be welcome and appreciated in lands far away where they haven't got anything.
Exactly, yes.
What sort of things might go into the box?
Right, so we divide it into categories. So the first category could be hygiene. So for hygiene items, we have things like a face cloth.
Right, as they call it in America, or a flannel.
Or a
as we call it
flannel,
in the
of course,
UK.
a flannel. Toothpaste. And I've got to point out as well that don't worry about designer brands. Any budget brand or store's own brand is just as good, because a lot of the kids will be getting toothpaste for the first time of their own. And then something like some toothbrushes. Again, those are value toothbrushes.
Great.
And soap. So that's your hygiene category.
Just to emphasise also, for reasons of security, I suppose, we transport no liquids though.
Yeah, no liquids and no chocolate. Those are the two exclusions. But we might as well go straight on to sweets.
Of course, yes.
Sweets is another category, so we've done hygiene. Sweets, we recommend hard sweets, things like these hard lollies.
Little lollipops, right?
Those are hard sweets.
Okay.
So anything like that makes great sweets for the kids.
Hard sweets sounds like a... sounds horrible, really, but I know what you mean. It's sort of solid sweets.
Solid sweets,
yes.
And so that's hygiene and sweets. And then the other one, education. It's amazing how hard it is for the kids to come by things as simple as this.
So just pen and paper.
Pen and paper, colouring crayons, and then felt tips and ballpoints. I've got a few different types in here from different stores, but they all look very similar.
Yep. And they all can be terribly, terribly cheap as well, can't they?
Yeah, I mean, this is what we say, don't break the bank doing this. You can actually get most of these items on a budget from budget stores.
Of course, yeah.
And so we've done hygiene, education, sweets. The final items that we say to put in is just a fun toy. So we found these ones. These are from a high street shop. Just lots of little plastic toys that they can play with.
They look fantastic. Right.
And then in one of them, there are things like skipping ropes.
Okay.
Very, very sort of low-cost toys, and then things like a little teddy type thing.
It all looks very simple, but of course it's not, is it? This might be a little. Well, I think a small child in this country would appreciate a box like that. But if you're living in a shanty town in
Kenya or
sub-Saharan Africa or somewing like that, then how well would this be appreciated?
Well, it actually makes the world of the difference. We say 1 in a million because in the UK, we're very generous in the UK. We make about 1 million of these shoe boxes a year. And Operation Christmas Child, through Samaritan's Purse, distribute them to over 130 countries. So that's the difficult bit.
So that's 1 million people in this country every year
do a shoebox.
Donate a shoebox and go to the trouble of putting this together.
Exactly. And it's very popular in schools and churches.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I was going to ask you, what's the history of the charity?
Right, it started off in Wrexham in 1990, where some Romanian kids in orphanages were having a hard time. And a local church with his volunteers managed to get together 3,000 shoebox gifts. They decided on a shoebox because it was a handy size. They worked with churches and businesses. They got 3,000 together. They got a lorry and they drove them to Romania.
Right.
And they gave them out.
Those were in those days, of course, when Eastern Europe was suffering such awful poverty immediately after the fall of the Soviet Union.
Exactly. And from then, they started expanding, doing other countries. And in 1995, Samaritan's Purse took over because it just got so big. They needed organising and streamlining. And now, across the world, about 10 million boxes come in every year.
And that probably
we do 1 million of them.
Well, and that's
a big number.
Accounts for 10% of it. That's something to be proud of. But I would guess that's coming from Europe and North America and going to the rest of the world.
That's exactly right.
The umbrella organisation Samaritan's Purse.
Yes.
It's that word Samaritans. Most of us will associate that with unhappy phone calls.
No.
Is it any connection at all?
No, it's a different organisation, and Samaritan's Purse do loads of things like turn on the tap, raising families and other aid-related projects to help get people out of poverty.
Okay. How can people get involved? Where can people, I mean, where anybody can get a shoebox, but where do they have to leave their shoeboxes? Where do they take them? How do they get involved?
Very easy. You can get all the information at operationchristmaschild.tv and simply get a shoebox, put the gifts in. On that website, operationchristmaschild.tv, all the information is there about what to put in, and then you can put your postcode in and find your nearest drop-off point.
Okay, and you can do it online as well and find out where your box is going.
Exactly.
Adam, don't go away, please. We'll come back and talk about this a little bit more after the break.
Thank you.
Join me then when the Reverend Lee McMunn will bring us today's reflections, and we'll have all the latest local sports news and results. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come, we head to St John Newland in Hull for reflections, and we'll bring you the latest local sports news and results. Still with me, talking about Operation Christmas Child, is Adam Contere. Adam, we were saying that these boxes are filled by children in this country.
Yes.
So it tends to be, if in name only anyway, it's one child sending this gift to other children.
Yes, that's right. It's as simple as that. A child sending to a child. There's a small donation that we recommend people put in that covers the logistical costs of the box getting from A to B.
So that's shipping, isn't it?
And that's the shipping.
Yep.
And that comes to £3. So we say if you've got the £3, put that in the box when you finish it, and that pays towards getting it all the way through all the different stages.
This
of
is
the
a very cheap, very efficient way of making somebody's Christmas.
It is. It's
who's not having a lot of luck in there.
That's right. A lot of volunteers along the way, and they give up their time to keep things as cheap as possible. And now it's all starting. It seems like it's a long time before Christmas, but the reason why we do it now is cheap transport takes time. So these boxes can take up to a month to get across the oceans in containers or by road to deep parts of Eastern Europe and Romania, etc.
Well, I was going to ask about the Christmas connection, because a lot of the recipients of these boxes are going to be living in countries or in societies that aren't Christian and don't have Christmas.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that you need to have Christmas to enjoy getting a present.
No, and I think that's the other thing, is it's logistically impossible to give them all out on Christmas Day. So they tend to be given out within a few weeks of Christmas Day, just for that logistical reason. And although Operation Christmas Child is a Christian charity, they give out to all faiths based on need alone.
Right.
It's done on need, and so they really do probe into the corners of the globe to get these to kids that are really having a tough time.
How did you get involved? What was your inspiration for this?
Well, I got heavily involved when my daughter was born. She's 6 now. Whenever I saw the videos at the gym, there's a lot of fundraising videos. They show kids in a bad way, and it says phone this number and you donate. And since my daughter was born, every time I see them, I see her face. And I think the only difference between her and them is just the fact that she was born lucky into a family that we're not in poverty. And so I think, every box I can do and help other people do, it's just reaching out to another child.
There was a point where you were going to stop. And there was some sort of, who knows, divine intervention, I believe.
Yes, divine intervention. We did a box, we had it printed, and it looks like this. So that's the box.
Very traditional wrapping paper.
Yep, that's right. We did 1,000 with a group of volunteers. We got worn out doing them. And at that stage I thought, am I losing my mind? And then this came in the post, and it's a picture of the box in the hands of a young girl from Kenya.
This is a promotional poster with exactly the same design.
Yeah, and it's the same box. That box ended up in Kenya. So I realised then it's working. You thought I've got to do this.
You can't stop. Locally here in Lincolnshire and Yorkshire,
yes,
it's easy to support it as well. There's been already great support.
Yes.
And you have drop-off boxes, points for these boxes. Whereabouts?
All shoe zones are an official drop-off point and entertain a toy store. So any of those you can drop off your boxes and also get leaflets that explain more about how to do it. In Grimsby in particular, you've got the Ice House Christian Centre. That's a depot, and they're going to be processing hopefully upward of 10,000 boxes.
And will you quickly just remind us of that website address for people to go to?
OperationChristmasChild.tv.
Okay, Adam, good luck with that. Wonderful idea. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Now it's time for the weekly reflections, and this week it's the Reverend Lee McMahon from St John Newland in Hull.
I am a nervous flyer. I'm not one of the panicking flyers, but I do get nervous when I get the opportunity to fly. But I think one of the things that would make me really, really petrified is if I looked down the aisle, looked into the cockpit, and discovered that there was nobody at the controls. That's what happens in our lives as well, isn't it? So when we don't think anyone's in control of anything, then that's when the anxiety and the fear rises in our hearts. Now, for me as a Christian, when I look at the Bible, one of the great things I discover is that at the very heart of the universe is not a something, but a someone. Not a power, but a personality. And that is deeply assuring. It's not just blind faith, but the Bible assures me that there is a someone on the throne who sits in charge of everything, and that someone is a God who cares. Now, I don't know, as you look at the world, what's your confidence? But I would encourage you can look at the Bible and see that there is a someone at the very heart who's in control of everything.
Joining me on the sofa, Erica Barker is back to look through some of the weekend's news stories. Erica, what have you got?
Hello, Hugh. So there are plans to build a new £12 million next door at the Kingswood Retail Park in Hull. There has been some concern with this, though, with the development. Traders in the town centre are opposing this, saying that it's going against the City Council's attempt to revive it for the UK City of Culture in 2017.
To revive the city centre enterprises.
Yes, so I think they may fear that having this development in the Kingswood area will take people away from the city centre. They do already have a Next Door in Kingswood, but this will be a larger development.
Okay, Next is quite sort of fashionable and fairly pricey clothes, aren't they?
Yes, yeah, I suppose so. I don't, everything's pricey now, isn't it?
Well, it is for me. Yeah.
Everything's pricey. It could create, though, 200 jobs.
Righto, okay, well that sounds like good news.
So we'll see what happens with that one. They are opposing it. This is an awful story. This is 3 men in terrifying raid on Turkish food store in Hull. This is in the Hull Daily Mail. 3 men at 25, 17 and 20 have been jailed for almost 12 years. Now, the victim, 31-year-old, he's worked at the Turkish food store on Beverley Road. This happened on May the 13th. They attacked him, some wearing latex gloves, stole alcohol and cigarettes, left him blooded and bare-chested. Absolutely horrific attack. Total of 12 years between all 3 of them. So at least they are, paying for what they've done. A
very violent armed robbery, but they weren't tooled up. They weren't carrying firearms, I take it.
No.
So that's an aggravating factor that wasn't there. So about 4 years each for an armed robbery.
Yeah, about roughly.
Okay.
Roughly that. It shows you the importance of CCTV, though, doesn't it?
Absolutely crucial in improving that case. Yes.
Yeah. Did you go to Hull Fair, Hugh?
I'm afraid I didn't. No, I missed it this year.
I can't believe it. Well, a driver has been left gobsmacked at a £60 bus lane fine after Hull Fair traffic sign said move over. So this is Darren Parker, 38. He was driving over the Anleby flyover in West Hull towards the fair. He said that signs diverted him towards the left of the road into the bus lane. The City Council are saying that's not the case there. They are saying that it was still cameras were in operation and that signs were made clear saying that, and that if he wants to appeal his tickets, he will have to go through the normal route to do so.
The sign told him to move over into the bus lane, and then he's been told that he can't stay in the bus lane.
Well, supposedly a sign told him to move over into the bus lane, but there is a sign saying that you can't move into the bus lane.
So the
City Council is saying that there wasn't a sign telling him to move over into the bus lane.
Right.
This is where the
CCTV cameras should be able to answer that question, shouldn't they?
Yeah, possibly.
If signs are saying putting up some contradictory instructions, then it seems a little unreasonable to punish people for obeying what they're told to do by the signage.
It looks like it's one driver against the council on that one.
Well, I know whose side I'm on. Anyway, next question.
So this is the M62. The M62 is not a racetrack. This is after a driver was caught doing 132 miles per hour.
Right.
Humberside Road's policing team stopped the driver at Negul on Saturday morning. Don't know what's going to happen to him yet. I think he's probably going to go to court. It comes after a number of incidents that have happened on the M62 with people speeding. A drink driver was caught speeding at 121 miles per hour with 3 children in his car.
Okay.
He was banned from driving for 18
Well,
months.
absolute boy racers, very foolish. Erica, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now it's time for the sport.
Despite only arriving back on Thursday evening after a 14,000-mile round trip with Uruguay, Hull striker Abel Hernandez showed no signs of jet lag as he scored his 6th goal of the season as the Tigers drew 1-1 at Sheffield Wednesday. It extended the club's unbeaten run to 5 games. Scunthorpe came from behind to beat Shrewsbury 2-1 at Glanford Park. Scott Laird scored his first goal for the Iron as he headed in Paddy Madden's cross before Madden scored himself his 8th goal of this season. It was the Shrews' 7th penalty that they have conceded this season. Omar Bogle's penalty 12 minutes from time extended Grimsby's run to 11 games as they drew 1-1 at Torquay. This result means that the Mariners are 4th in the table on 30 points, 5 behind leaders Forest Green, who lost their 2nd successive game. Meanwhile, North Ferriby unbeaten run continues as Danny Clark's injury time winner made it 15 games without defeat for Billy Heath's side as they beat FC United 1-0 at Church Road. At the IPC Athletics World Championships in Doha this week, Zach Shaw and Holly Arnold, who both have connections to the local area, will be competing for Team GB. Sprinter Shaw, who is a member of the Cleethorpes Athletics Club, will take part in the 100-metre and 200-metre races, and Holly will be taking part also. Until next time, goodbye.
That's all for tonight. If you've a news story for us, then please visit our Facebook or Twitter pages or email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472 31 55553. Until tomorrow, good evening.
I want to see Grimsby put on the map.
Extraordinary qualities, unmatched in anywhere else in Britain.
We need to act with one voice.
I was absolutely shocked, I'll tell you the truth.
More police officer hours spent on patrol preventing crimes from happening.
Estuary TV weather, sponsored by Rix Petroleum, your local family-owned heating oil supplier this winter.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Tuesday staying dry with some morning sunshine after a chilly start, maximum temperatures of 12 degrees Celsius. Wednesday will be windy in the morning with rain easing off later in the day.
Rix, servicing the region's oil boilers this winter from a name you can trust. Get in touch at rix.co.uk or call us on 01482 838383.